Did he really have enough to convince the American people, based on his economic plan, that he's the right choice?
Well, his economic agenda wasn't purely the classic Republican conservative agenda. In many cases, he was more Democrat than the Democrats. He advocated increased government spending. He talks about more infrastructure, more roads, more railways. He's talking about increasing defense spending. So the classic small government Republican agenda didn't take place here. So in a way, in a lot of ways, it's an unexpected candidate. There is no clear agenda, and we have to see how it takes us.
Well, we'll certainly try to see today on the show with you both. But in the meantime, let's get a breakdown now of Donald Trump's economic agenda, the numbers, predictions, and some concerns in the following report.
The economy played a key role in the U.S. elections this cycle. According to a CNN poll, 44% of Americans listed it as their #1 concern. And as important the local economy was to the elections, the election might be even more important to the global economy. Donald Trump's economic policies centered around bringing jobs back to Americans. His agenda is based on tax reform, healthcare regulations, and trade restructuring. His proposed tax reforms aim to reduce taxes for low-income earners. But he also intends to lower business taxes, slashing the corporate rate from 35% to 15%.
We're the highest tax nation in the world. Our business taxes are going to be brought from 35% to 15%. We're cutting regulations.
Trump's health care plan seeks to repeal the Affordable Care Act by bringing free market reforms to the healthcare industry.
Go back to Obamacare for a second. Remember Obama? You can keep your plan, you can keep your doctor. He said it 28 different times. Keep the plan, keep the doctor. Keep your plan, keep your doctor. He lied.
His trade restructuring will attempt to impose stiff tariffs on China for what he calls cheating by devaluing currencies to create trade imbalances. Trump believes shifting global commerce will create jobs for Americans. Trump is trying to project a policy that will free the corporate world from the burdens of government. Once in the White House, only time will tell how much of his economic programs will be carried out in the next 4 years.
Back to our studio discussion with Dr. Alex Coleman and Chen Herzog. Chen, I wonder, one of the main points in his campaign was, of course, the tax cuts. How likely is it that he will get away with everything he promised when it comes to taxes? This was a big deal throughout his campaign.
Yeah, no doubt he will try to push tax cuts. But of course, the combination of tax cuts and fiscal expanding, of increasing spending in infrastructure and increasing military spending, will increase deficit. So he will have a real challenge with his Republican Congress approving a budget that increase deficit. Certainly not an easy task for him.
And come soon the most anti-free trade president ever to step in the White House. Are we looking at a situation where this might change the U.S.'s business dealings around the world?
Yeah, we've seen that in the U.S. election. We also saw it in the U.K. with the Brexit. We see the older generation trying to pull back, to stop the new economy, to stop the globalization. It's threatening the older generation, the blue-collar workers, which are not able to compete in this new economy. We're talking about a new disruptive economy, and here we have disruptive politics. We have the older generation, the blue-collar pillar, disrupting their children and grandchildren who are trying to move into globalization, and certainly it's a major issue.
Well, while convinced of course, and many of his followers and supporters have been as well, is repealing and replacing Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act. He wants to change it up to introduce a whole new system. Will this be even more difficult for citizens in the United States who did not have medical insurance? We know that many of them have been very frustrated by Obamacare.
Yes, I think this will be one of his first reforms. It will be easy to pursue because it has no budget cost. And his voters, his blue-collar voters, these are the ones that had insurance from their corporate or jobs. So in a way, he's not hurting his electorate base by reversing Obamacare. And I think this would be, and the effect here is in terms of the U.S. economy, it's not on the economic activity, it's on inequality. And I think one of the effects of the Obama policy will be to increase inequality, to increase gaps, steps that Obama tried to improve, and Trump will take it back.
Chen Herzog and Dr. Alex Coleman, I feel like none of you, maybe this is my mistake, would have voted for Trump if you had the chance. Of course, economically speaking only. Yeah, still with me in studio are Chen Herzog and Dr. Alex Coleman. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with me. Chen, let's talk about December a little bit. The Fed has hinted, as we know, several times quite strongly that they will raise interest rates this December. But now, with this win that no one saw coming, could that change?
You know, it's a really tricky dilemma for the Fed. The basic economic fundamentals support a rate increase. The uncertainties that Trump brings with him hint that you have to delay the decision until things clear up. But in a way, I think they ought to go and increase the rate in order to convey the message that things are stable, there's no need to panic, everything is on track. So it's a tricky decision, but my bet would be that we'll see a small rate increase after all.
And there is often, Dr. Coleman, tension or animosity between a government and a central bank.
Yeah, it's a built-in animosity.
It's a built-in animosity, and it seems that between Trump and Janet Yellen, it goes to a new level. Is this a real problem going to be now that he's the president-elect?
Well, this is a built-in mechanism. The mechanism basically says the government wants to spend money, and you need somebody that's independent of the government to actually tighten up. What we've seen historically is the opposite. We've seen the Fed basically ease up on the money, hoping that this would restart the economy. I was disappointed by this because when you think about the crisis, interest rates are not everything. You need to have incentives for the economy, because otherwise what we saw was that funds went into the stock market. So you see a stock market bubble. Funds went into real estate, but you didn't see huge amounts of money going into rebuilding infrastructure, industry, competitiveness. So unfortunately, when I think about Trump, I do not see a deep, profound vision how to restart the economy. So I think that this animosity would eventually, in the real world, be much more minor or more negligible than it might have seemed in the beginning.
I think many of our viewers would agree with you both, and yet he won. But still, thank you very much for joining me, gentlemen.